Hey everyone, so this is my review of New Amsterdam, Season 1, Episode 2, called Rituals. And essentially what this episode is about is that Max avoids coming to terms with his illness and choosing instead to focus on his wife and on the hospital. And while it's going on, Dr. Fern and Dr. Kapoor decide to take on the school district of New York over this boy who is on way too many medications to sort of self-regulate himself, and they realize that that's not the best choice for him. And this was such a great and entertaining episode that had a lot of really sort of great moments to it, and it did a really good job of juggling all the different stories that it was telling. And I really liked that there was so many different stories all in this one episode, where the stuff with Dr. Fern and Dr. Kapoor was really interesting, with them dealing with this boy that's so heavily medicated on such strong drugs that he can't communicate with anyone, and he's just in such a haze that they can't really help him unless they take him off the drugs. But his school district comes in and decides that that's not the best case for him, and that they'll kick him out if he does go off the drugs. And it was just so interesting to see how this whole case and stuff went about doing it, and how both sides sort of brought evidence to support their side, even though a lot of the evidence on the school district side wasn't the greatest, and I don't really understand why they brought it up as evidence. Like, one of the main things was this boy getting into this massive fight with another kid and really, really injuring this other kid. And they use that as their evidence of why he needed to be on these drugs to sort of stabilize him. But then Dr. Fern brought up the same thing that I was thinking, which is that it was just like a moment of rage that any kid has. So why is this one moment the thing that dictates his whole life? And I really like that they brought that up. The only part that did bug me, though, was how Dr. Kapoor and Dr. Fern found a way to use a dialysis machine to get all these drugs out of the kid's system, so then he could talk for himself and explain himself and stuff like that. And Max brought up how that is illegal and that they shouldn't be doing that, but then they never got punished for that. So that really bugged me that they did it all and it was seen as fine. So that just wasn't the greatest part of it, but all the rest around them was really great. Then everything with Max dealing with his cancer, or I guess lack of dealing with his cancer, was interesting to see, with him being super busy with all his work and stuff and avoiding certain people that he didn't want to talk to, like the head of the whole hospital and stuff, and him going through all his processes of fixing the hospital in his way that he deems as better. And Dr. Sharp, who is his main cancer doctor now, trying to get him to comprehend what's going on with him with his illness and trying to help him like a doctor should, but Max is just completely ignoring her. So that was interesting to see. And I'm very curious to know, with Dr. Sharp and her sort of reaction in this one moment to this cancer patient, if she has this back history of maybe having a family member or something with cancer, that this one patient affected her so much, or if it's just her being so out of practice of being a doctor that all the emotion toll that it takes to be a doctor was finally affecting her. Because the way that they described it in the episode, it wasn't really made clear what was going on with her, that she was getting such this emotional sort of rush, that I'm very curious to know what was actually going on there with her. Then everything with Dr. Reynolds and his whole patient who had a broken muscle in her heart, I believe it was interesting, with that being the whole sort of thing that got the name of this episode of being Rituals. That in this episode, this patient that Dr. Reynolds is working on that has this sort of broken heart muscle, her family wants to do like this cultural ritual on her where they cut open her skin and put this sort of stuff on her to sort of work as a protection charm on her during the surgery and stuff. And he doesn't want that to happen because he doesn't see it as sanitary or doesn't really see the purpose of it. But then after a bunch of bad luck around this patient, he finally accepts and does it. And I really loved it for the scene where Dr. Bloom finally talks to him about it before he goes into surgery, where she brings up that this ritual is just the same as any ritual that Dr. Reynolds does, where he washes his hand a certain number of times, or he says like a little sort of saying before he goes into surgery. And all those are the exact same sort of ritual as doing this one other ritual. So that was an interesting scene to see her sort of trying to get him to understand other people a bit more. And I really kind of liked it for that. And then the whole scene of what actually went down in the surgery room with this patient and stuff was interesting. But I feel like the other doctors would have stopped Dr. Reynolds in some capacity or some way a lot faster than they actually did. And that just felt odd with how long they kept going on and stuff. With him trying to work with this patient, and pretty much no one else was willing to help him because they all saw her as a lost cause. And that was another thing that kind of bugged me, is how long they just let him work on her even though everyone else presumed that she was dead. And then just overall, this was a really interesting episode, and I'm very curious to see what's going to happen next with Max still refusing to acknowledge his cancer, and how everyone else is sort of dealing with their relationships and stuff. I'm just really excited to see what's going to happen next. So yeah, that's my review of New Amsterdam, Season 1, Episode 2, called Rituals. So